Okay, so we're out in the shop. The Kaeser air compressor extension cord came in, and we're going to go ahead and get this thing hooked up and see how loud it is. Alright guys, so we're going to do this one a little bit different. I'm going to do a voiceover while we do this. So I did mention that the cord came in, and went ahead and just cut this end of the cord right off and prepared it to be hooked up. On the Kaeser, we have to take off this side panel here for access to the electrical hookup area. It's rather unique, actually. I figured out that you don't have to remove these top bolts, but you can. Not a big deal. If you just loosen the top two bolts, that panel will just slide right out. Pretty well designed. There's nothing really to service inside of here. This is just kind of the location of the dryer. But like I said, this is where we're going to pass our electrical cable into the unit. Okay, you can see right here, this is where I'm going to go ahead and feed the cable up inside this gland nut. And now this cable did have 10 gauge wires, so this is a pretty serious little 3-phase extension cord. They're stranded wires, but they're very stiff, so it works quite well. The first one we're going to do is the ground, and that's the green and white terminal block. If you're doing this wiring, you probably should already know this, but I used a very small screwdriver, like you can see here. You insert it into the square hole above the hole where you put the wire, and just give it a little pry, and that releases the little metal wedge that comes down and interacts with the wire, as you can see right there. Now on a 3-phase hookup to any motor that's 3-phase, if you have the rotation the wrong way, all you have to do is switch any two of the wires. So you can see I have a ground, which is a green wire. I have a white, a red, and a black wire. All you would have to do is switch any of those 3 wires, the white, red, or the black. Switch the white for the red, switch the black for the red, switch the black for the white, whatever it may be. Switch any 2 wires and you'll change the direction of rotation of a motor, a 3-phase motor. So there we go. We have the power hooked up to the compressor itself. And now up above that terminal strip, you'll see a transformer. This transformer, that lug right there, is like a blank. And what you need to do is take the wire that goes there and put it into the proper voltage you're going to supply this unit with. In my case, it was 208, 3-phase. So that goes in the 208 slot indicated on the decal right there. We're good to go. Now what we need to do is hook up the output, the air pressure coming out of the unit. And what I want to do is at least put a valve in there so I can valve it off so it will build some pressure. So this part right here needs to be installed into the compressor. It's got a little aluminum sealing ring, and that threads in right here. And now here's a neat trick for using this Teflon tape. If you hold the fitting in your left hand and go over the top, just like this, you're always winding in the right direction. So the tape doesn't unwind as you thread this thing in. Just remember that. Hold it in your left hand and go over the top. I'm using thread tape and a little bit of thread paste. Trick I learned working in the air compressor industry with a guy in Hudsonville, Michigan, Brian Sawyer. Sawyer compressor. We did this technique when we installed a compressor that did very high pressure, something on the order of 50,000 psi. Multi-stage compressor. So now we're just, like I said, go over the top. Give it a few winds around. I think I went maybe 5 winds around. And then I put a little bit of thread paste on there. This is all to just lubricate the threads and help you turn this thing in as deep as you can get. They're tapered threads, so the deeper you can get it, the tighter the interaction between the threads, male and female, is going to be. So the tape and the paste all just helps to lubricate this situation. So on goes our ball valve. And we'll go ahead and put a wrench on this guy and just sort of snug it down. And as you turn the valve, of course, the short nipple is going to turn, and it's going to tighten up the whole mess. So I just keep turning the ball valve till it's tight. Now I've got a whole collection of parts that I want to put on the end of the ball valve so I can plug an air compressor, or so I can plug an air hose into it. Just a bunch of reducers and a male threaded quick disconnect. We don't need to put any thread paste on this. This is temporary, and really I don't care if it leaks. We'll give it just a little snug down with a small wrench. A snap-on crescent wrench, I might add. Pretty nice tool. Okay, so now we're digging in the manual, and we can go ahead and see that the next step that we have to do is pour some cooling oil into the air end. So this is important to make sure that when you're first starting this unit up, the air end, or the supercharger, is not run dry. Bearings, seals, and you hope never the interaction between the two lobes of the compressor, but hey, you never know. So what we got to do is use the supplied hose right here, and we're going to go ahead and drain some oil out of the sump, just a little bit. I set up the camera and just went to town doing the work here, and I didn't realize that you can't see the little glass beaker that I'm draining this into. But rest assured, you'll see it here in a second as I dump out the residual oil that's in this line here. And there's our little beaker right there. And this is plenty, probably a little too much oil. But that's all you need to lubricate the air end. And here is the fill plug on the air end that you need to remove. And we have to pour this oil in there, believe it or not. So I've already loosened that with a socket and a wrench. And there it is. It's got a little copper sealing ring. And now what I like to use is the cap to like a lubrication bottle, an oil bottle, and a very small funnel. I use the funnel to guide it into that cap, and that cap goes in the tiny, tiny hole. Just dump it in real slow. Can only go so fast through that tiny hole. When I get all the oil in there, pull that little cap out, take our bolt with our copper sealing ring, thread it back in, and tighten it up with the proper tool. I think I used a flex head ratchet, and if I'm remembering correctly, it's a 14 millimeter. I could be wrong. Anyway, we got to remove this belt guard and observe the rotation. There's a sticker there that's got an arrow. This is the rotation we want this thing to go. I like to turn it by hand to just work all that residual oil easily through the oil separator and whatnot. Once we get this guy to run pretty good, go ahead and plug the other end of our power cord in. Oh, there we go. Once it's powered up, it takes a pretty good minute to kind of boot up the first time. And we get an error saying the emergency stop is pushed. Still booting up. We go ahead and clear that error. And then what we can do is shoot some power to it. Okay, we got the screen figured out. So, looks like we'll power it on. I think it will error out if it's going the wrong direction, but we're going to watch this. Right direction. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is take another extension cord. This is just regular 120 volt. Used a nice heavy duty cord. We're going to do the same thing we did with the 3-phase cord. Just cut the female end off. Went ahead and stripped everything and ran it through and connected it to the appropriate spots that you can see right here. 4FU for the line, neutral, and ground. Kind of weird that the ground doesn't go anywhere, but you know, that's just what they show. You'll see they got power to the dryer here. That will prevent any errors. My normal conversation level is right at about 68 to 75. If I get really loud and talk, I can get up into the low 80s. But the room sits at about 39. Maybe 38. So let's go ahead and fire this thing up. Yeah, I know this decibel meter on the phone is probably subjective. It hasn't been calibrated, but it does give you a before and after. Something like, what is it, 40 decibel gain on this guy. Standing right next to it, it's not obnoxious. There it is. It's reached pressure. It's sitting at 125 psi or so, 122 maybe. Okay, so that was basically it. Got the Kaeser fired up. You know, you saw the meter, something like a 40 dB gain. It's pretty quiet. I think we're going to go ahead and throw it up there on the mezzanine like we talked about, and pipe it in and go from there. So anyway, hope somebody was able to find that useful on the on starting up a Kaeser, at least one of these little air towers. What it takes to get it going, and how loud it is. So anyways, more content coming. Gonna get back on the Calliope engine project, but for now, go ahead and give us a like, share, subscribe, all that stuff, and more content coming.